A new timeline theory just dropped in. I'm pausing right in the middle of my breakfast. We have to talk about this. But first, oh, and also, daily dose of Daisy. Okay, so I'm making my breakfast this morning and I have this thought. What if I was put on a timeline where the government is not trustworthy because of maybe it was a past life karmic thing that I needed to work out some unfinished business of not being able to trust the government? Or what if I got myself on that timeline because my experiences in the past gave me that belief? And so I migrated to or created that timeline where you cannot trust the government. And or maybe probably both. Like if that's how this works, if we are put into the reality that fits our karmic conditioning, whatever soul lessons, whatever experiences our soul decides we need to have, and then we continue to shape our reality based on those past experiences and how we make sense of what's happening now. We're testing this model of reality, right? That this is how it works. So if this is true, this kind of explains why I'm in this version of reality. Okay, so then I zoomed out and I was like, all right, well, what about people who do trust the government? As I am viewing them from my reality, they're fools. How could they not know? But what if inside their reality, they're looking at me going, she's crazy. The government's so great. This could get into a lot of battles over who's correct. And that's what we've been seeing for decades, right? Us versus them. So then I zoomed out some more and I plugged this into the framework of Ascension, of this concept of we are trying to elevate higher as a society and we're trying to evolve beyond the need for duality, both in the contrast, the evil that was talked about in my channeling session yesterday, and also the us versus them, the divide. We're trying to ascend or migrate toward a society in which we have unity, in which we're all on the same team. So if those previous timeline theories are correct, how do we get these two opposing realities to join up, to be in the same reality? Is that even possible? In theory, it is, or it could be. Because what if you either have an experience, an event that spreads across multiple timelines, multiple realities? And so maybe it's like maybe we're looking at the timelines instead of like lines. The guides always show me like fiber optic cables, that there are these collective timelines, but within them, there's still all these like individual little timelines. And that's kind of the norm, okay? But if we imagine these timelines are like a wagon wheel and they intersect and crisscross in these center hubs. And what if those center hubs are events like a schmelection of El Presidente? So people in the reality who were like, rah, rah, smaller government, let's stop taxing companies, like whatever that reality looks like, they see this and they're super stoked. But people in this other reality of like, here we go, batten the hatches, we're seeing it this other way. But it's the same event. It's the same event and it spirals out and has this ripple effect for all these different realities. Now, this particular event has been so revealing and chaotic. So what if rather than these events happening in individual timelines, this is still that wagon wheel thing. It's still that center. And these events are happening. And then depending on where you're at in your little reality, you're going to not only interpret things differently, but you're going to make decisions and choices and change things based on that reality. And all of this moves us forward. So we've been saying that the shit they're doing now is so obvious that it's getting incredibly hard for a lot of people to spin this, to fit their belief about what government was, about what this person was, about yada yada. And that's why more of them are waking up, because this wagon wheel shit is just bonkers, bananas, crazy, and they can no longer be continuing with their reality. Now, when I say reality, I'm not even talking that it is reality. I'm not trying to argue about, oh, their reality is wrong. I'm saying we create an individual reality also based on illusion and thought patterns and things I refuse to see, things I will only believe. And I gotta say, as a creator with a large following, I see this all the time. Not only and I read your comments and how people perceive the outside world, but how people perceive me, okay? No one should have this much data on what people think about them, but alas, I do. So something this has really shown me is I know who I am. Obviously, I know who I am. I know who I am around the clock. I know who I am when I show up. I know my intention when I make a video. I know my thought like I know all the things, right? And so then someone comes in with this very firm idea about who I am and what I said, and they are certain, and I can't convince them otherwise, not that I would try. That's someone from their vantage point perceiving me to fit their narrative of their reality. And it has like who I actually am has zero relevance to them. They're just creating based on their point of perception. It's totally false to the eternal truth of who I am, but they don't know that. They see me as a public figure. They make assumptions about me. They fit it into their reality, and they cannot be convinced otherwise. Okay, got lost in the weeds a little bit, but that's right. That's where I'm coming from on that. I'm seeing what people do because I'm in the center of my own little mini wagon wheel. So, what if spirit, the universe, God, whatever, what if they are using these wagon wheel events and people to force the joining of realities? Because it's not even that one reality was so true and others couldn't see it, although there is a lot of element to that. Again, awakening, coming out of the illusions, coming out of your programmed thoughts, what you've been conditioned to believe that isn't suiting the situation, that is happening. But it is also about, remember, going back to the beginning, if I'm in this reality because I have a history of distrust with the government, how am I also going to disabuse myself of that belief to get into a shared reality with people who love the government and have great experiences with the government? So I've got to have a ton of experiences in my reality to help me shift and see, hey, maybe it has been bad in the past, but maybe we can get to a place where it works for the people. So I'm having all these experiences that are funneling me toward that. Meanwhile, people, asleep and love a terrible government, they're having awakening experiences to realize, oh my God, maybe they don't have our best interest at heart. So we're having these like tandem experiences that just push us, I'm like far away. They're just like pushing us together toward a more unified mindset and belief and desire for the future. Because they can migrate us all we want, but we have to still choose and take action. Then to cap it all off, the biggest message that came through in my channeling yesterday about the solar flash, about Ascension, was how we get to where we want to go is we embody love. I know that sounds overly simplistic, but they broke it down in a lot of ways. And this love can really be so many things. It's joy. Yes, it is forgiveness. It is peace. It's self-care. It's unity. It's all these beautiful things. And if we can attempt to embody that, choose that, become that throughout all of these different experiences, that's how we transform everything. And so if people in all these different realities are having their awakening, they're having their mindset shifts, they're having their healings, they're transmuting, they're releasing, they're rewriting old stories, and then at some point we choose love, we shift into love. That makes our creations going forward not only be of unity, because we've done the thing to, like, this is my wedge coming together, because we've done that thing, and love is the greatest unifier. So it's like pulling the timelines together permanently so we can all create from a shared desired reality that's rooted in love. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yes, of course, this is all theoretical. I'd love to hear what you think. This was a fun one to play with.